So firstly, I want to welcome everybody for coming. I really like these kind of early morning sessions. I think they're really intimate and we can have a conversation as opposed to just speaking to each other or over each other. And I want to thank the panelists. I think they're going to provide a lot of insights today. So thank you to everyone again. Thanks for coming this early morning. Actually had to wake up and face some traffic and all the rest to get home on time. But thanks. In terms of today, so today is a conversation that probably started over a year ago. So we were one of our strategic partners is Cambridge. And we are Cambridge, and we sort of ran a program with Cambridge. And they showed us all this data that they had of employees around the world. They done some kind of survey, and they had sort of specific insights in terms of how employers and employees were feeling post-COVID. And they showed us the data of Nigeria, and we thought that's absolutely fascinating. So when we got back to London, I need to name check Modupe here, it was myself from Modupe. So we got back to Lagos. We decided that we were going to conduct a similar survey in Nigeria just to really understand how, what the talent management dynamics. And we ran this report on the survey, and what we got back was absolutely fascinating. I think the big headline at the time last year was that 52% of skilled workers, if they had the opportunity, they would leave the country and sort of continue their careers abroad. And that became known as the Japa syndrome. And our survey kind of, it took on a life of its own. It trended. I think at some point we were trending number 4 in the country. And what we found, there were 5 reasons why people were leaving. The first was security issues. The second was the economy. The third was they were trying to escape toxic work cultures. The fourth reason why they were leaving was compensation. They wanted more money. And the last was remote working. So those were kind of the 5 reasons why people were leaving at the time. And then we decided that we were going to sort of run this survey every single year. So today we have Talent Management 2.0, and at some point today we'll kind of be discussing the findings from this year's survey. And I'm kind of interested and really intrigued to really understand what employers and employees are saying in 2024. I guess similar to Joshua, from a personal perspective, I've always been fascinated by the term talent. And when you kind of mix talent with management and purpose, if you can combine the 3, I think it's pretty powerful, because you know what they say, if you can mix talent and purpose and enjoy what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. But at the same time, I think that's really difficult. A lot of us, it's difficult going through life. Really, one is really figuring out what your talent is, and more importantly, aligning that to purpose. And so, in a way, I consider myself a bit fascinated by the topic. And also, I try to link different perspectives together. And one of the things, believe it or not, I really focus on, when I really pay attention to, is talent management and how it equates to sport. And how they manage, how talent and management come together as an equalizer. Because you can imagine in sport, it's, the margins are tight. You're fighting for inches. If you follow football, how many people in here follow football? Who's any football people? Okay, I know it's mostly the men. Arsenal, but with sport, it's all in the margins. And as you can imagine, the talent has to show up at a particular point in time, and you need to perform. A couple of weeks ago, we were doing a strategy retreat. We were anchoring a strategy retreat. Myself, one lady somewhere here, I think you'll be talking later, and a couple others. And it was the EXCO team for this particular company, the top company in Nigeria. And what happened was, at some point, and what we tried to do, we tried to step back and observe. And sometimes, as these things get a little bit heated, we don't step in, we just watch. And then at the appropriate time, we might intervene. And what happened was the HRD made a statement. She said, I believe that we have talented people and competent people within this organization. And they descended on her. The CEO, the CFO, they descended on her. What do you mean? Look at the numbers. Everything is going wrong. Look at the numbers. Look what we did last year. We were telling us we have talent people, and they started arguing. I kind of watched, and I observed, and I watched. And then she was getting a real battery. I mean, some of you HIV people, I don't even know how that feels. And at some point, I stepped in and said, "Do any of you guys support Manchester United?" And it's like, "No, I'm Arsenal." Everybody's denying Manchester United. And I said, "You guys support Manchester United?" Got the response. And I said, I was watching an interview with Gary Neville. Now, Gary Neville used to be the right back for Manchester United. And bearing in mind, for some of you that don't follow football, Manchester United is probably one of the most successful and richest clubs in the world. And so Gary Neville was being interviewed, and he was asked a question. He said, "You guys haven't won anything in 10 years, no major trophy like Champions League in 10 years. Surely your players are not talented, and that's why you're experiencing 10 years of failure." And his response surprised me. He said, there was a time you could probably say the players weren't talented, but not right now. He said, over the past 10 years, we've had some of the best players you can imagine. And he mentioned the likes of Paul Pogba, Ronaldo, and a bunch of other names. And he said, we've also had two of the most accomplished managers that you can imagine. We've had Jose Mourinho, we've had Luis Van Gaal. So he said, at some point, you have to stop believing the talent. You have to start thinking about culture. You have to start thinking about structures. And also, management needs to take a bit of responsibility. And I thought that was fascinating. And that's the kind of story I told them. And I said, well, maybe you're just not creating the right kind of environment for talent to be successful. An interesting thing is when you benchmark that against the Champions League final that happened I think it was last Saturday, and Real Madrid were playing. And again, I'll try and contextualize it for those of you who don't follow football. But Real Madrid had no business being in the final. So most of these matches during the competition, they would score at the last minute, they would knock in a goal, they would lose the first leg, win the second leg. And it was a mystery, how are these guys in the final? And there was an article I was reading in the New York Times where it said, is Real Madrid impossible to analyze? Because people just couldn't figure it out. And there was a fantastic quote from Carlos Ancelotti, who is the manager of Real Madrid. And he said, there are coaches who do nothing, and there are coaches who cause damage. I clearly believe that I'm in the first category. There are coaches who do nothing. And he's saying, coach who does nothing. I thought that was fascinating. But then he went on to explain. What he was saying was that I can give the guys the strategy and say this is the direction that we need to move in. But when they go onto the pitch, I have to empower them and believe that they can deliver. Because ultimately, it comes down to two things. Or three things. It comes down to their talent, it comes down to the quality, and it comes down to their commitment to the cause. What I do is I create the environment for them to excel and then for them to deliver. And he said, and that's why he categorized himself as a coach who does nothing. But anyway, a couple of anecdotes. I just want to thank everybody. I think the nexus and the relationship between talent and management is what we need to explore today. I also believe that as business leaders, I think it's incumbent on us to think about how we make a difference, especially you guys in the HR space. The last thing I want to say, and I know my team will laugh, because every time I say last thing, I say last thing. See, they're laughing, last thing. Is I think it would be remiss of me not to mention the role of talent management in social mobility. And the reason why I say that is, there's a world that exists outside the boardroom. And you have 63% of Nigerians in multidimensional poverty. And again, I think talent and management and the ability for us to connect that to purpose can be an equalizer in the country. I think it's very important as well, and we shouldn't lose sight of that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much. To put together the report that is going to be presented here today, it's been done the PCL way. In PCL, you learn about collaborative ways of working, right? So you have different units coming together and working together and producing something beautiful and something that would make huge impact. I know that coming together to put this report and present this report would have been the making of a number of units. So you have SOT, which is the Strategy and Operations Unit. You have the DTC. I remember all these names. Yes, the DTC. All right, which is the Digital Technology Consulting Unit, and you have different units really. You have, of course, the People Transformation Unit, which of course would sit at the heart of putting this report together. And the man who they popularly call Oga Mike is standing behind, releasing the money for the report. And you would have, where's Dele? Dele is somewhere. Okay, yes, you have Dele, yes. Ensuring that this event is looking as glamorous as it is looking. You would have, of course, you know, the Oga at the top, right? You know who the Oga at the top is. Okay, just spoke to us. You have Rob saying, it's amazing. I'm sure Rob has read this report, right? That's amazing. So that's the kind of firm PCL is. And of course, you have someone who I would tell the best manager I've ever had, one who is a partner for the People Transformation Unit. I tell you, the best. And I've been blessed with very good managers, trust me when I say that. And he's the best of them all. I'll say that boldly anywhere, putting it together. However, what will be happening in a few moments is the presentation and the official unveiling of the report, the key findings of this report. So I would have two gentlemen do that. Fred Okobi, who is the team lead, research and intelligence for PCL, and Adeboye Adebayo, who is the senior managing consultant for the People Transformation Unit. I thought you were going to clap better and louder for these two gentlemen. Thank
you, Joshua, for that introduction. Thank you, Rob, for the football and just made it lighter for me. So yes, my name is Fred Okobi. I lead the research and intelligence unit at PCL. And yeah, just like Rob has stated, this was at PCL well tested people, right? And I mean, we have explored and we'll continue to explore how we can protect people. And we understand that people are your most valuable asset, right? Last year, we deeply explored the Japa syndrome. We wanted to understand how the incessant relocation affects businesses. This year, at the beginning of the year, we all remember how the economy took in ridiculous consequences of the forest liberalization and the removal of the subsidy. And we all remember what the Naira was, beginning of the year. And so we decided to, the PT team, alongside the research, with Rob's guidance, decided to come up with, so what do we do? How are people, we got curious, right? How are people going through, how are employees, going through the economic challenges, right? And so we came up with, balancing the economic pressure alongside your talent management strategies. And I can see a lot of faces that I spoke with. And so I just want to say thank you for being here. And also thank you for giving me your time and talking with me. It was a lot of questions, I think, right? So we're going to be walking through the executive summary. It will give us a rundown of really what the survey is about, the essence of the survey, and what we found out. And then after that, we'll do a rundown of Nigerian economic pressures. I mean, I will not sit on that because I think we're all aware. But what Adedoyi will do is go through the data in depth, and I will be just there to support him if he needs my help. Right? I can see the slides. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. All right. So the first three key standouts, right, if we forget everything that we discussed here, the first three things that we should take home really is that employees are reevaluating their career choices, right? So what it means is that that there is a marginal behavioral change towards Japa, towards relocation, right? And why is that happening? It's happening because one, there might be a lot of people who still want to relocate, but they just can't afford it, right? Because it is just too expensive, right? And there are people who are saying, why don't I figure it out here, all right? Trying to figure out opportunities that are available in the country. And so when you put all of that together, you would realize that, right, that what employees are doing in general really is they are looking for opportunities within the country, right? So they're asking themselves, so what is the next best thing? If I cannot relocate, what do I do next? Is my career going in the direction that I wanted? Right? So they're always constantly asking that question. All right. And so what are employees doing? Employees are prioritizing stability, but there's been increase in flexibility. And so employees are safeguarding their operations by reducing financial rewards or just leaving it stable. There are no spontaneous incentives or spontaneous bonuses or random salary increases because we must keep what we have. So we must protect what we have long term. We can't give everybody bonuses and then after a few months, nobody has jobs. But what they're doing is that they're replacing that with more flexibility. We're all aware of how COVID has changed the way we work, right? And so there is more remote work, there is more teleworking, there's more flexible work hours. And then the last one is significant gaps in non-financial reward. At the heart of this survey is something the PD team has come up with, and it's called total reward. Right? And so total reward is looking beyond just the financials. How do we get employees to start looking beyond? Okay, look, we're not giving you money every time you request for it, but we're more concerned about your well-being. There are other things beyond financials that we're concerned about, that we're focusing on, and we know that it would add significantly and positively to your career, right? And so when we look at that data, we realize that 43% of employees surveyed believe that non-financial rewards are included fairly. But just below that, there are 32% perceive non-financial rewards to be poorly included. Right? And so 2% of the total employee survey feel like employees are not doing enough, even beyond money. And it's such a tricky one to be in, a place to be in right now, because if the economy has placed everybody in a bad situation where they are reevaluating their career choices, and then when they're now thinking about, okay, so beyond money, am I gaining anything from this firm, right? It is a dicey place to sit in. And then 10% have no idea if non-financial rewards are included or not. They don't even know if there are other things other than the financial that they're getting from the firm. Okay, the last 3 things are the desire for frequent performance review system. And this surprised me a bit, because I know how difficult it is to get everybody to do performance review. It's a tough one. Just setting your goals is a tough one. But what the survey has indicated is that it is time to transition. Maybe it's time to transition away from the traditional system. We realize that 36% we realize that 45% of the total employees surveyed, they currently go through the traditional annual review system. That is fine, right? But we noticed that when the employees were asked, so how often do you want performance reviews to take place? We realized that 36% want a quarterly review system, especially the tech guys. I don't know if we have anyone in tech here. And then 28% want to retain the status quo. They want to retain the traditional review system. But just behind it is 27% that want a biannual system. And that leads to the next point, which is eliminating uncertainties. The request or the desire for more performance management system only means that employees are curious to draw a straight line between performance and compensation, right? So if not performance, what else? What else is causing me to get promoted or not? What else is leading or contributing significantly to my growth? They want to understand. And then lastly, the first mover advantage, and that is why we're here, right? The private sector is experiencing growth, and regardless of whatever is happening, we all know inflation is at an all-time high, currency devaluation and all of that. But the private sector is experiencing growth, and employees know, and they know this, and this influences their decision. So it's left for us to figure out, okay, how do we tap in, right? How do we embrace this change? How do we shift attention to what the employees desire? How can we sort of be like partners for them, right? So yeah, that is the summary of that. Those are the big ideas of the study. Next slide. I will talk briefly about the challenge, which we're all very familiar with. Next slide. All right. So we're all aware of the fuel subsidy removal and its consequences. On May 29th of last year, 2023, Tinubu came up and said he was going to remove fuel subsidy and he was going to liberalize FX. And those two things caused, they led to the domino effect was ridiculous. The fuel subsidy led to a 175% increase in PMS from 254 to 700. The FX liberalization, we all know, I mean, everybody here tracked what the dollar was like. And then sometime in Q1 this year, it was about 1.8. And those two, they worsened, the situation that we're being in. And so what we realized over the years, there's been a lot of patch-up, basically. And that led to spiraling inflation. Inflation as at in April was close to 4%, the worst we've ever been. And food inflation was at 40.1. So that is a lot for the common man. And so what that led to was Cardoso tinkering, right? She started figuring out, okay, so what do we do next? And we saw never been seen before in one quarter, back to back of increases of tightening in monetary policy, just to make sure that we are combating inflation. And so if you pay attention to your banks, you keep seeing ridiculous interest rates if you save. I'm sure there was a bank, there was one of my banks promised 26% annually if you save a certain amount for a year. So that is those are the banks. That is CBN trying to figure out how can we keep money within the system, right? I was in an NHG event earlier this year, and in the whole of 2022, they received just 6 circulars, from the former CBN governor. But in between 2023 and now, they've received over 10 circulars, right? So it just speaks to the fact that yes, everything is going wrong, but the people in power are trying to do something. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. And so, yeah, I've said a lot of terrible things about it, but also you should also it's not all bad, right? There's been rising investor confidence. I saw somewhere that NGX All Share, stated that there have been 14 firms in the country that have crossed the 1 trillion naira valuation. So it was 8 before, but it was 14. So how, I was at an event with a man that heads Crown Capital, and he said something really touching. He said, so how is it possible that the economy is getting really bad, or the private sector or firms in general are doing very well, right? So it just means that while all of those policies are affecting the common man, it takes time, right? So in terms of improved sectoral development, like I said earlier, the private sector is growing in the right direction. Time this year, when we saw the naira lose as it did, sometime in Q1, the CBN did something right. yes, it's gone back to what it used to be, but for me, it just speaks to something. Everybody always says, look, once the naira goes down, it can never go back up, right? But it made that positive, it moved in a positive direction sometime this year. So for me, it's hope that, look, that great things can be done, and it's just left for us to work together and contribute positively to it. So I will hand it over to Adedoyin, and he'll walk through the details of the story.
Thank you so much, Fred. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to take a deep dive into the needs of the talent management research that we conducted. So in this report, we surveyed a quite number of people, over 1,800 professionals who completed our questionnaire. They cut across 8 sectors of the economy. Then we employed survey methodology and also interviews, where we had a one-on-one interview with a quite number of executives, where they shared their thoughts and perspectives on the economy as well as the talent management practice in their organization. So I really implore us to go on our website to download this report. Then the focus area for the report, we looked at the attrition, which in the local parlance we call the Japa syndrome. Then, of course, also we looked at the total rewards, then training and development, performance review, and also salary satisfaction. So we have a variety of people, respondents, who completed a survey. As you can see here, respondents, professionals were male, and it cut across different levels within low level, mid-level, and C-level executive. And of course, also the sectoral breakdown cut across these 8 sectors. So now let's take a look at the entire report. So we were interested in learning about the kind of difference that a year can make, looking at our talent management report 1.0 and also the 2.0. Then when we asked our respondents how the rising cost of living has influenced their willingness to work in Nigeria, 58% of the professionals that we spoke with said that it has strongly affected them, while 10% of the professionals said it has slightly affected them, while 5% said it has not affected them. Then again, we wanted to learn whether in the past 6 months, respondents contemplated leaving their current job for another paying opportunity. So 73% of them said yes, while 27% of them, the respondents, said no. Then we also tried to compare our report the one we did last year, this talent management report 2.0, to look at whether in the past 12 months, our professionals, the people that we polled, they've contemplated leaving their current job to relocate abroad. So in 2023, 50% of the professionals that we spoke with said that they were considering that, while in 2024, we have just 5%. So there's been a % reduction in the number of people who actually wanted to, who were contemplating relocating abroad. Then we also wanted to see the ability to relocate. That's in terms of having the financial wherewithal. 80% of the professionals that we spoke with said that the economy generally has strongly impacted on their ability to relocate, and that's actually said the state of our economy, a lot of changes that are taking place that we are all aware of. Next slide. So here, we also wanted to learn from the professional we spoke with to see how the current state of the economy has affected the rewards given in their organizations. So 46% said there hasn't been no significant change. 24% said there has been a reduction in bonuses in their organizations. 22% said there has been an increased flexibility. This is a case where we've seen a lot of organizations putting in place, said there has been an increased flexibility. This is a case where we've seen a lot of organizations putting in place work mode, even telecommuting and hybrid mode of work. Then, of course, 22% said in the organization they've actually scaled back benefits. Again, that also talked about the state of the economy. But again, what we've seen here, or what we've established here, is the fact that employers are prioritizing the stability of the business, and at the same time, they also recognize the fact that the times are hard. So that's why some of these policies are being seen or are being put in place in the organizations. So here, well, I'm going to talk about the looking at the sectoral analysis now. Of course, in the first slide, I talked about the overall. Now, looking at it from the sectoral analysis, we can see here asking the respondent about whether they contemplated a job change. Like we saw in the previous slide, 73% of the total population said they were contemplating a job change. So now here that the financial sector has the highest, with 84% of respondents saying that they are contemplating a job change, followed by health, then the IT telecoms. But when we look at below from the total population, we have oil and gas 68%, manufacturing 62%, and the public sector has the lowest, 54%. Yeah, so that in the past 12 months, whether the professionals have also contemplated leaving their current job to relocate abroad. Again, education has the highest here, 64%, followed by IT telecom, then manufacturing, then we have oil and gas, professional, and also public sector also has the lowest here. Which means that the few of people in the public sector are not really looking at relocating from the country. Very interesting. Here we were interested in to learn about training effectiveness in organizations. Now talking to some of the talent management practices now, and we can see here that education 29%, then finance. We can see, and also in the professional service sector, we have 44%. So in terms of very effective and effective. So here we spoke about, we polled about to know the salary satisfaction, whether the respondents, whether they are satisfied with their current compensation package, that's salary, bonuses and incentives. 58% of the people in the educational sector said they are dissatisfied. Public sector, 54% dissatisfied. Finance, 47%. Manufacturing, 45%. IT telecom, 46%. And the professional services sector has the lowest. Then we also wanted to learn about how transparent the salary is in various we spoke with. Public sector has the highest, which is 1%, while professional services has 40%. Again, the reason why the figure is high or higher in the public sector is because of the layered nature of the public sector, because everyone seems to know the possible range of salary that for each role. Then here we were interested in knowing, in learning. 37% of the respondents said it has significantly affected, while health sector is so IT, while public sector has the So here, performance management, which is a very key element of the talent management practice that we also looked at. So we asked our respondents to tell us the current performance review frequency in their organization. 45% of the respondents told us that they still prefer the traditional annual performance management system. That means that one that happens just once per year. While we also asked to tell us their preferred performance review frequency. 36% of the employees we surveyed want the transition to quarterly reviews, so that's 3 months. While 26% of the employees they still prefer the traditional annual performance. So here we wanted to know about how well does organization where our respondents and whether they include non-financial rewards in their total compensation. So 43% of the respondents said fairly, while 32% said well, and 10% said. We also asked them to rate the top 3 most valued non-financial rewards. So the professionals that we spoke with mentioned this. Career development is the most preferred. Career development is the most preferred, followed by work-life balance, then wellness and health benefits, then flexible work arrangements. So now, the opportunities. This is where we looked at the opportunities for organizations. So we came there to the conclusion that it's not enough to look at the financial reward, because most of the time the thought is around, increase the salary, let's increase their pay, let's add more money. But having looked at some of the context of our economy and the realities that we're battling with as a nation and as individuals within our organizations, we are of the opinion that organizations must be able to create a balance between the financial and non-financial. And we have here the base salary, bonuses, gratuity, stock programs, profit sharing, and also the non-financial work-life flexibility, health insurance, part-time off, remote work, flexible schedules, and career development. So we have the entire report uploaded on our website. Please, we implore everyone to please visit the website at www.phillipsconsulting.net. Go to our report section and please download the entire report. You will see thoughts, a lot of insights as to how we can manage talent in the world that we are right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Can we put us together for Fred Adebowale one more time? Fantastic. Very, very interesting report, and I'm really looking forward to digesting it when I download it from the PCL website. The next item on the agenda is a panel discussion. Now, when I look at the room, I look at the people in the room, I see lots of individuals that I tell you, they can comfortably be part of the panelists. I see Emmanuel Michael somewhere, I see Maya Walide somewhere, I see Barry India somewhere, I see Fiok somewhere, I see Mudubs, right? These are people who are proficient in the HR space, so I mean, their thoughts and ideas would be very important to glean from. But today, we have four very powerful people that are going to be our panelists for a very interesting discussion that we're going to be having. I'm going to read their profile, and then they will come up and we'll have a very, very rich conversation. You do not want to miss the conversation that we will be having. The first panelist, member or panelist, that I'll be calling up is someone who I respect, and I'm very, very glad to see again, see the great things that he's been doing in the HR space. With 33 years of multi-sector and multi-function experience, Yemi Fashion is the Chief Talent Officer of YF Talent Partners, an HR, culture, and leadership advisory firm. He works with clients to drive the talent and business transformation agenda, focusing on end-to-end people management, culture, and leadership initiatives to meet the demands of the now of work. He is also a board advisor, a non-executive director, a leadership, culture, and HR consultant, and a great workplaces advocate. Obviously, he is. He leads unusual, mind-shifting conversations that challenge the status quo and inspire change. He's received multiple global recognitions for his impact and influence in the HR and leadership space, the latest being the LinkedIn Top Leadership Development Voice Badge in April 2024. He's passionate about lighting candles behind so others can easily find their paths to success. He's the founder of the YF Network and the YF Academy, platforms for which provide personal leadership and business development mentoring and opportunities for professionals and entrepreneurs across the world. He's an author and loves Mondays. Very weird. He loves Mondays. Can we put our hands together and welcome Mr. Yemi Fashion? You're welcome. The second person I'll be calling up is Mrs. Tracy Afolabi Johnson. Tracy is a senior consultant for the People Transformation Practice of PCL. She's a talent management professional with nearly a decade of expertise in talent resourcing and management. Space, different industries. She has proven competencies in working with senior management to integrate the talent function with the overall strategies of businesses, leading teams to execute business strategies and achieving results by designing and implementing talent management frameworks and initiatives. Tracy's passion and outstanding results in developing talent have made her a vital resource in the arsenal of business owners and top-level management. She holds an MBA from the University of Lagos and is a certified senior professional in human resources. Can we put our hands together And we welcome Mrs. Tracy Afolabi Johnson. Now, the third person I'll be inviting up is Mr. Sheni Adetu. He is the former MD CEO of Guinness Nigeria PLC. Has about 35 years of sound private sector experience garnered at the highest levels, primarily with John Holmes PLC, Coca-Cola International, Diageo, which is Guinness PLC, and within the banking industry in various countries within and outside Africa. He holds a BSc in chemical engineering and a master's in business administration with specialization in marketing, both from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. He has served on the boards of various multinational companies in executive and non-executive director capacity, and as a non-executive director at Fidelity Bank PLC, FBN Holdings PLC, Tower Aluminium PLC, and Topco Petena UK, amongst others. He is, in addition, currently the non-executive chairman at SoFresh Neighborhood Nigeria Limited. So all the SoFresh you doing, so we know, okay, so we know who to talk to for certain things to happen. Mr. Adetu was at various times marketing director of Coca-Cola Nigeria Limited, managing director of Coca-Cola English West Africa, based in Ghana, and the first African MD CEO and executive vice chairman of Guinness Ghana PLC. He was also Group MD/CEO, East African Breweries, EABL, the biggest company in East Africa at the time, based in Kenya. He was subsequently appointed MD CEO of Guinness Nigeria PLC and executive chairman, Diageo Brands, Nigeria, and thus became the first Nigerian in nearly 20 years to lead that company. During his executive career, Sheni Adetu had worked working stints or leadership programs in Hungary, the UK, and the USA. He is the founder or executive chairman of Ogilvy. Really? I didn't know that part. He's the founder, executive chairman of Ogilvy Nigeria Limited and Algorithm Media Limited, two leading marketing communications agencies in Nigeria, affiliated to WPP, the world's largest advertising and media agency network. He has many professional awards, obviously, including being runner-up Forbes CNBC CEO. Can we put our hands together as we welcome Mr. Sheni Adetu this morning? You're welcome. The last but not the least member of the panel that I'll be inviting up is Mrs. Olubukola Lanibekun Lawal. She obtained a BSc in Business Administration and a Master's in Business Administration with a specialization in management from the University of Lagos. I don't know if all of you have noticed, there are lots of University of Lagos. There's University of... Okay, I did one Master's in Uni, so Greater Caucasians. Olubukola is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, CIPM, and has participated in various management and leadership programs in Nigeria, Malaysia, and the United Kingdom, as well as the United States of America. She's currently the head of human resources at FSDH Merchant Bank Limited, formerly First Securities Discount House in Lagos. She's a generalist human resource professional with over 2 decades of professional exposure across several industries, such as the financial services industry, banking, asset management, insurance, oil and gas, and properties management. Olubukola has led several human resource that I'm going to be having. Hope it's okay for me to tilt my podium slightly so that I can see both you and the panelists. Okay. So a number of questions have come in. and I will be asking those questions. But to start with, I would just like to briefly ask you, how are you feeling about today? Just very briefly, you can start.
Well, I think the first thing I'll say is I'm not going to sit down here and let my school be marginalized. Great effect. That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling great.
Thank you.
I'll say excited. It's great to be here, sitting with great minds on this platform and in the room, and I'm looking forward to hear what everyone has to say and learning from everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Really feeling very good because I'm the only non-talent management developed person. So which means that if I lie from a CEO standpoint, I get away with it. So that's how I feel. I'm really about that.
Very interesting. Morning.
Good morning. It's great to be here, and I believe the topic for discussion is journey. Is a reality, and I'm here to learn. Just as I'm open to also sharing some of the experience so far. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you. Can we put us together for a wonderful panelists one more time? Okay. So there are some questions that have come in, and I'm going to be starting with those questions. Be asking Mr. Sheni Adetu, senior HR, yeah, you understand. So we'll start with you. So don't lie to us. So I'm going to be asking, what specific government policies or economic reforms do you believe could most effectively support talent management in the private sector? And how do you think businesses should advocate for these changes, in your view?
Without a doubt in my mind. And they themselves, as government say it all the time, their role is not to necessarily create employment, is to create the environment for businesses to thrive. So there's no policy they're going to give, in my perspective. Like I said, with all due respect, all I did all my life was marketing and running businesses as CEO. So I'm just going to come at it from that perspective. The only thing they can do is to make sure that when businesses, doesn't matter whether they are small-scale enterprises or they are manufacturing companies or they are banks, are able to run their businesses in the most conducive environment. But I think they've got that orientation wrong. I'm going to be sharing experiences if that's okay, because that's what I want to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll give you an example just to let you know that we got it wrong in this country. So many years ago, as CEO of Nigeria, I was going to open a canning facility in Benin. It was the first we put in. It was all we do is returnable bottle, as you know. And I went to see the then governor, and I'm going to mention his name because we've shared the joke a few times. Oshom, governor there, and the president then was Obasanjo. So we had said to him that we had invited Obasanjo and all that, and people said it was wrong. You needed to have talked to the governor. I think at that time there were different parties. I can't remember whichever.
Yes.
Anyway, when we got there and we started talking to him, he said, "You people have to realize that Edo State government is the highest employer of labor in Edo State, not Guinness." I'm like, why would you want to be the highest employer, the biggest employer of labor? For me, the orientation was wrong. Why? What are you proud about being the biggest employer of labor? In other markets where I have worked and served, government employs the tiniest, population of people. But here was the governor. So the orientation is wrong. They're competing with private sectors for who employs the most, whereas their role is very much to complement the efforts of the private sector. That's my thought on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. How could I see that? Now it's interesting because we're talking about talent management, and talent management can be approached additionally or transformative. And the focus really is transformative talent management. And how do we embrace change in this extremely competitive environment which we found ourselves? What specific innovative retention strategies have you found effective in all of your experience, right? In countering the high attrition rates that has been happening in our country today?
Yeah, thanks. I don't think I can say it's one thing. I think it's a couple of things. Well, let me start my thought process by saying that nothing out of this data has surprised me so far. As a matter of fact, I know that some of my colleagues in the HR space will know that most of the things coming out with numbers and figures are things we've discussed with the business over a period of time. But I guess because the data may be coming from a PCL now, maybe businesses will listen. But we did say 5-6 years ago, as we were thinking about the future of work, that pay was going to pale into insignificance. But businesses were not listening. Businesses were still thinking that people were jumping only because of pay. So keep them, pay them more, they'll stay. We were only promoting people beyond their level of competence by giving them money and making them more attractive to the market. So what has happened is, I think we've stayed along the linear perspective motion. But the external environment was already dictating to us that the demographics were changing. It was dictating that the economics, that the new generation in the workplace, they were having options beyond what was available. That competition wasn't only just another company, but other countries. But we were not too alive to all those realities, maybe because HR was doing more emotional HR rather than data-driven HR. But those realities were real. We were already having that conversation, and we're saying to them, let's change the leadership style in organizations. We're already saying to them that the younger generation are looking for purpose beyond promotion. They were looking for meaning beyond money, and they were looking for sanity beyond salary. But businesses were not listening. So I wouldn't say it's one thing, but I'll say that it's a combination of many things happening within the environment, showing to us that today's workforce was already looking beyond pay. And I'm, again, not surprised that when Rob was doing the analysis, the executive summary, and he gave the top 4, top 5, pay wasn't any on that list. You know what I mean? So we have gradually moved away from traditional keep them with pay to other things, remote work, flexibility, work-life harmony, other non-cash benefits. So all those things were playing out, but we were not just focused on them. We were still traditionally managing talent. I also think that we have so many people in the analog space managing talent that have moved into the digital era. So there was clear misalignment between expectations and delivery of the talent management initiatives. But what we were also not doing was do a lot of design thinking. We were doing a lot of copy and paste. If one organization is doing and is working for them, you see many HR platforms. What can I do in my organization? I'm here, and then everybody drops everything, Control C, Control V, and all that. But it wasn't working. We need to go within our own different organization and find out exactly what should work. On my way home yesterday, somebody said to me a couple of initiatives for the workforce. I think we have done. I'm not exaggerating, about 10 to 15 things, and our people are still not staying. So, what additionally can I do? I said, go back to your organization and ask them what else you should do. That's my point.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. And it's interesting because listening to you, what I'm hearing is that, retention cannot really be all about financial rewards. So you must start thinking about non-financial rewards too, right? And so there's something you usually post on your Instagram handle. You have these pictures. You can visit his Instagram, you'll see them, lots of them. So you have these pictures where somebody's on a stretcher and 2 guys are carrying him. Then it changes what the caption will be. There was one I found very interesting. There was one when they were carrying the guy and they said, "What's happened?" They said, "I'm waiting kill him." Then they go promote on beyond incompetence. So basically, we must be looking at other means of retaining people. Now, Olukola, I want to ask you, from in your organization, are there one or two initiatives that you've implemented that sort of shows the importance of not only going with the strategy of increasing salaries and pay, but also including other non-monetary or non-financial rewards that are, and it's helped you to retain people?
Thank you. So, coming into 2024, 22-24, and I will start with COVID. Post-COVID, we realized that it was no longer the employer's market, it's now the employee's market, right?
Yes.
So the employees dictate what they want, how they want it, and when they want it. Pre-COVID, there were muted conversations around, flexible workers. Employers couldn't imagine how that was going to work in this space, right? But COVID came and forced that on us. Now, everybody was looking for how to survive. It wasn't about whether the people were working or not. Now, coming back to your question around what we've done, I think we've done a few things, looking at the attrition rate, everybody looking for the JAPA. I was telling Yemi that now it's now SAPA because you're experiencing some SAPA. It's now SAPA now. People are coming back. But the interesting thing is, just like Yemi mentioned, looking inward, effective conversation, communication. So we have a strategy around employee engagement. Because to be able to retain people now, even though they don't want to go, you must be engaged with them. You must know what is happening to them. You must be involved with what they are doing, how work is done. I learned a while back that beyond delegating work, right, it's also important to actually ask the team member they are assigning tasks to, how do you intend to get this done? The tradition is, go do this, all right, this is your KPI, go get it done. I doubt if line managers take time to actually sit with the team member. Do you understand what you're doing? I said that I needed to deliver this in 2 days. Is it possible? Can you get it done in 2 days? Vis-a-vis some other things that that team member is doing. So the team member is into you because there's understanding of whatever challenges he or she's going to have to deliver on the assignment task given. So employee engagement is so critical, and that's beyond work. So we have activities. We try to ensure in-person engagement, but we do a lot of virtual engagement as well. We do, like I mentioned a few, now there's CGI compulsory, we have those activities outside the organization. We make employees understand that it's not about just what you're contributing to the table. We also want to be part of your life, right? And that is looking up for us. Because I can say that attrition rate is actually on the downward trend for us now, compared with the last 1 to 2 years. So a lot of employee engagement, a lot of interaction within team, intra and inter-team teams, and also organization-wide. We have end of year times for party to just go out and party beyond work. We have team bonding sessions without talking about work. We just want to laugh. Just create some vibes around getting people off the mindset of work and knowing that even though we're at work, we're also enjoying ourselves and having a great time. So whilst we're pushing the KPIs, we're pushing deliverables and all, we should also be mindful of the fact that our employees are individuals, they have challenges, and then they will come to you without frown on his face, and you're not even looking. There was an experience where a team was trying to take a team member through the work to be done, and she just observed, just looking at her face, she observed that her face was not aligning. A part of her face seems to be moving up, and the part was going down. And she said, well, go check your blood pressure. And we realized her blood pressure was very high. And it's important that we are that detailed, with our people. Engage them, get to know how they're doing, what is happening at home, what is happening beyond home, what are their plans, career progression. Because when they know that you're personally interested in them, even when big opportunities come from outside, they find it difficult coming to talk to you about leaving, So I think that employee engagement, and that ultimately leads to employee experience, because the experience your employee have with you as an organization from the beginning of joining your organization and everything that you do to motivate and get them to do the work and to impact your interest in other areas of their lives will determine how long they stay with you in the organization.
Fantastic.
How good
And you know, listening to you, I mean, something that I think I could glean from what you were saying was that beyond the things that HR can do are things that line managers or managers would have to do. So employee engagement must do, right? So employee engagement is not necessarily an HR.
As a matter of fact, I take that off you. I think HR managers in organizations are consultants, right, to the line managers. And it's important that line managers know that. Line managers are the first line human resources. It's your responsibility part of it. There's the monitoring part of it, and there's the support part of it. Otherwise, at the end, and then you now say that you mark me down because I did what I was supposed to do. When as my line manager, you were not there to actually ensure that what needed to be done gets done.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can I put my hands together for Olubukola? Now, I mean, one of the first things you said, which would lead me to my question to Tracy, was, I mean, people thought work from home was impossible until COVID taught us how possible it can be, right? And the interesting thing is that we're at a PCL event, and PCL is practically maybe the first, I think the first, I know the first, at the consulting firm that embraced working from home, remote work 100%. I mean, okay, you want to put your hands together for yourself. Okay, good. And that obviously took some boldness from Rob and the leadership team to be able to do that. I remember I was in a meeting with another consulting firm, and I said, you know, PCL wants 100%. We're having this argument about it, and I said, you know, PCL wants 100% remotely. Their jaws dropped. Really? And I said, yes. I said, how are they doing it? So we want to find out how, you know, it's happening successfully and not impeding productivity, and people are still engaged in doing it.
Thank you very much. So, like you said, we've been working remotely since the lockdown, and what we've been able to do is to keep on fine-tuning the processes to ensure that it's beneficial both to the employees and to the business, to PCL. One thing that attracts people to any organization today is the offer of remote work. You know, you can offer great salary, but they'll ask that question: are we going to be fully on site, or are we going to work hybrid? You know, so in PCL, we've been able to adopt this remote work culture. And I think that one thing that scares businesses is if we're going to adopt a hybrid work culture or remote work culture, how do we measure employee engagement? And so thankfully in PCL, we've been able to develop a policy called the Smart Work Policy, that helps us measure productivity, helps us ensure that team members are engaged. So it's very important, your remote work culture, hybrid, flexible work arrangements. You have to check. You know, another thing is that connection with the team members. It's very possible also for people to get disengaged when working remotely. So one thing we do is when we're having our virtual meetings, our partner will say, put your cameras on, let me feel your pulse. You know, everyone turns on their cameras, we're having meetings, we have, you know, meetings to check up on each other, we're having meetings to analyze what are your tasks for the week, what are you doing this week, what challenges are you facing, because those things have to be in check if you want to work remotely to make it successful. And then we have what we call the productivity tracker. You know, you're putting on the timesheet what you're supposed to do for that day and for the week, and you're allocating time to it. That way you're checking how engaged team members. The manager has to also check the timesheet also to ensure that everyone is engaged, everyone is doing what they're supposed to do. You also get to know if your team members are actually overloaded with work. One thing we've also been able to do is to have physical meetings. So twice in a month we're coming. It's aside to work, we're bonding, you're connecting with your team members. All of these things have really helped us ensure that the flexible work, you know, works for the organization. Everyone is productive, everyone is engaged. There's that connection. We also have platforms where we get to banter, we get to share ideas, and it's really engaging. And one thing is, for flexible work to work, you have to have an enabling culture. If you don't have the right culture, it will not work. What kind of culture do you have in place? Is it hierarchical? Is there bureaucracy? Or do you have a culture where everyone is open? There's feedback. You have constant feedback going on. And we see that practice a lot, and thankfully we have amazing leaders in PCL that encourage feedback. When there's feedback going on constantly, when team members can engage with you, they're open, they can walk up to you, they can share their problems. You're creating platforms for people to constantly share ideas and all of that. You see that you can have a workforce culture, you have a culture that can thrive, and then it enables you to have that flexible work arrangement that you want. And once you put these things in place, you can attract and retain the best employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you can see the PCL people clapping the loudest, right? It's all right. So far, but that was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, what is interesting, right, is that we've spoken about a number of ways to retain employees. Now, you want to get the best and you want to keep the best, because that's what would ultimately enhance the profitability, productivity, and the business meeting its objectives. So I'm going to ask you, Shani, with all the challenges we see in Nigeria specifically, and maybe globally, but Nigeria specifically, we've spoken about a few talent management strategies. Are there other strategies you're employing in your organization to keep people? And maybe I can say, from your years of experience in all of the other places you've worked, are there things you've seen being embraced by organizations and it works?
Yes, but let me even create the first provocation in the room. And that is that, in my opinion, again, as a CEO of like 20 years, I think some talent managers are not just doing enough. Let me tell you, the CEO's main focus is numbers. And very easily he forgets that it's people that actually deliver the numbers. So the first thing I want my talent manager to do for me is to help me connect those dots. That every time you're talking numbers, but can the numbers drop from heaven? You understand? But I put it to you that some talent managers aren't creating enough tension in the room to make CEOs be aware that they need the talent manager more than they need the finance manager, if there's any comparison. I don't want to take that out of context. And the way it shows is this. So at Coca-Cola, Diageo, Guinness, and all that, every time we ran a plan, we ran a 3-year plan. We had a whole day to present the plan, and then just 30 minutes to the end of a whole day, they say, by the way, we've not seen the talent plan. Okay? And then everybody's tired, and then the president says, you know what, you can separate that. You understand? I'm being realistic about it. So talent management had always been placed like some sort of an addendum to the main plan. And that for me is where it gets all destroyed. Because, and until we then change that, at some point we say, you know what, we're going to start with talent and develop and start with talent management. Give you another example. I'm still going to answer your question about how you retain people. There's a couple of other things that we do from experience. But another way to look at it when it comes to talent is that, so every time the company gets stuck in terms of performance, the first thing, well, not the first thing, firstly, you want to stop travels, freeze traveling. The next thing you do, you freeze training. The next thing you do, you freeze hiring. And then sometimes, after a lot of struggle, then you can say freeze marketing, as in advertising spend. Then why that order? If indeed it's talent that delivers the numbers. So I worked with John Holt, I worked with Coca-Cola, I worked with Diageo, Guinness, and I'm not going to tell you which did what. But those three, there was one of those companies that said, our people is our biggest asset. There's another of those companies, by the way, these are multinational companies, that says, our brands, our biggest asset. They have a point. They have a point, and maybe you can even figure which of them say that. Now, it's not to say that they will not think about people, but they said their brands are our biggest asset. In their orientation, once the brands are solid, you can get people to manage the brands, right? There's a third one among those very successful multinational companies that said our biggest asset is our reputation. Interesting. So I've been to places where people have asked me, socially, which would you consider the biggest asset? And my answer is very simple all the time, having worked with those companies. I say, those three things we talk about, they almost represent like a tripod that has 3 legs, legs, okay? Keep any 2 legs and take out the third one. It drops. So which one do you want to keep? You are fantastic with people. You buy Mercedes-Benz for every messenger and cleaner. So you're fantastic with people. You're fantastic with reputation. Okay, you clean the environment to do that. But your brands, as in performance things, you're going to go on the floor. And you can combine any 2 out of 3 without the third one. So my point is this. And I said in one of the meetings was in Kenya, and I said, easily for me. And if I had my way going back to those companies, and even the ones that said the brand was the biggest asset, I'm saying, no, actually, it's people that manage brands, by the way. Reputation is people that manage reputation, by the way. So ultimately, it comes back to people, talent as your biggest asset, and the only people that can make the CEO connect that, because he's so, what's the word I use? He's so locked into his numbers that you need to strike him out and say, yes, you are right, his numbers, and then help him, not just telling him, but help him to see how talent helps him deliver better numbers. Because ultimately, we're in business. We're in business to grow shareholder value. Full stop. Now we need talent to do that. So for me, that's the most important thing that is missing. If I leave anything in the room with the talent managers in the room, is the fact that you go to put your head up. And when the CEO is saying, look, we're going to start by doing operations presentation. Yeah, operations is fine, but let's talk about talent. The other thing that, by the way, sorry, I've not answered your question, I'm aware, I'm going to tell you, but just as it comes to my head. The other thing is that some talent managers understand the business they run much better than some others. And the more you understand the business, the easier it is for you to get the ear of the CEO and the operations people. And that's why, back to what you were saying, I agree with you to a large extent. The only bit I will add is that in as much as line managers take control of their talent in terms of setting the KPIs, and even when you want to recruit, making sure they're in the forefront and that, so the line managers don't know. At the same time, the talent managers cannot sit on the fence. So it's some sort of a partnership, because the farther you are away from that, then the less integrated into the business you are. Sorry, and I say from the perspective of CEO, the more useless you are to me. And it's the more reason why I won't talk to you. Every time I need a small, I shouldn't have it, kitchen cabinet, is my CEO and my operations director and finance, and I say CEO, my finance operations. So those are things. But now to how exactly to your point, other things you can do to really engage people. My experience is that you got to treat the talent that you have like the brands that you market in a very positive way. Most times when you want to do something good for the brand, you will hear the marketing director or marketing manager say, go talk to the consumers, know what they want, and build from that. Sometimes with talent, we need to talk to them and know what they want. I got my hands burnt many times. There was a time I thought I was doing something good, and I built a whole gym. Cost me a lot of money in Nairobi. Gym, afterward, you guys should go there. And I realized that 80% of the people that were there were ladies in that company. And other people are not as bad, but other corporations, about half of them were pregnant anyway. So when they finished work, are they going to go to gym in their pregnancy? So until I did what I call, and found very useful, what they call skip level meetings. Skip level meetings are incredibly important. And what's a skip level meeting? A skip level meeting is the one where you skip a level and meet with the subordinates to your subordinates. Subordinate is the wrong word, reports. I check that. So you meet the reports to your reports. In the absence of your reports, your direct reports, you'll be shocked the sort of things that come out of that. You'll be shocked. You see, line managers are so important. When you draw an organizational chart in any form, I'm not talking about the human resource type of organizational chart. It's almost like a pyramid, but simplify it and call it like a triangle. One MD or partner, whatever. Then 8 people exco, 20 line managers. At the base is where you have the highest number of people, right? Most things get lost in that middle that you call the line managers. I've seen situations where I walked into a meeting where my line manager was saying to the guys who are supposed to deliver the numbers, the MD said we should do 2 million this year. I'm like, why would you say that? I'm telling you, I walked into that meeting. Sales director. What they meant was that he had not agreed with me. Okay? And he had wanted to, in my opinion, exonerate himself from the thing to say, it's not me, it's the CEO that said this is what we must deliver this year. How do you achieve results from that? I've said too much. Thank you very much.
Very enlightening. Very enlightening. And thank you for the perspective you bring to the conversation. Very important. Very important. Now, just looking at following what has been said. So one of the things that is very critical to organizations is what they say they develop an employee or employer value proposition. And that becomes something that is believed to be an attractor of talent and for those that are already in the system, make them stronger advocates of the business. Now, in your view and from your experience, what connections have you seen between the EVPs of organizations, right, and their strive to retain talent and to manage talent?
Before I do that, let me have a conversation with my managing director. Based on what he said, these same line managers, at the end of the year, we have a performance appraisal. We have some individuals to promote. What parameters do we use in promoting them to line manager or supervisory or executive positions? Most times, sir, it's technical capabilities.
Absolutely.
It's again the numbers. The guy who's bringing in the numbers. Killing many people along the way. People who have been damaged by their own bosses. They damage other people. They get you the numbers. You focus on the numbers. 33% above year on year. That's my guy, sales director. Again, the millennials came into the workforce. These are just conversations to have. Very real conversations. Millennials came into the workforce and they challenged so many things that we're doing, especially technically. They could do things better and all that. And guess what we're doing? We're promoting them very fast into leadership positions. But we're not getting them ready for leadership responsibilities. Therefore, there was a misalignment in terms of people management capabilities. So the sad story continues. So we all need to go back to the drawing table. I hear you about what talent managers must do, but I also know, or I want to say, or advocate for HR people. I keep saying that I've left HR. So I want to advocate for HR people to say that we need you to also listen to us more. When we don't take performance appraisal rating, when we challenge it, don't focus only on the numbers. I'll give you an example, and I won't tell you the year so that you don't know the organization, right? There was a particular instance where about 6-7 people left a particular department in about 5-6 months. The exit report was saying, I'm going to Canada, I'm going to another organization. But the informal engagement that she talked about by HR suggested that it was one particular line manager in that organization. But the line manager was bringing in the numbers, almost untouchable, despite the fact that we were flagging it. By the time the 7th person resigned, business woke up. But guess what has happened? 3-4 stable department, then eventually the organization did something about it. But within that department or within the entire organization are taken up. So I'm saying that we need to put more executive leaders in the room to have this sort of engagement with HR to say, leaving people in leadership positions is not the same thing about them making numbers. If they're making the numbers, please, along that journey into leadership position, let's get them ready for leadership responsibilities.
Absolutely. Sorry, let me just jump in.
All right.
To also support you. It's saying that the CEOs have this crazy, almost unrepentant focus on numbers. I'm not suggesting it's the right thing, but I'm telling you that it's what you will get in real times every day. So I'm not necessarily supporting it. I guess your point is right, and I'm completely aligned with you that it's the job of a strong talent manager to help them. The CEO is not necessarily a complete man. He needs help. That's why he's coordinating everybody. But a strong talent manager would always pull his shirt back to say, you know what, I have no problem with you having this obsession for numbers. But without the sort of things I talk about, I don't even judge. Numbers have to be quality numbers they talk about. Not numbers for today, the numbers that are sustainable. And if you're promoting somebody who's just delivering 30%, 40% up without looking at his leadership qualities and attributes, and is in such a high leadership place, that in itself is an aberration. So I just wanted to say I agree 100% with you.
So we're now on the same page, sir.
100%.
Awesome. So back to employee value proposition.
Yes.
I think the best EVP in today's world, given the fact that we are in a new abnormal, right? In 2020, we went into a new normal, COVID and all that, but post-COVID is a new abnormal, if you ask me, and two things are totally different. The things that we looked at prior to the pandemic are slightly different from now. EVP number one again, like we said, was pay, was promotion, was, but it's beyond all of that now. The number one EVP for me in this new abnormal is leadership. I think that if we get the right sort of line managers with new leadership competencies in the now of work, we won't let people, or we won't get them to stay 10 years like before. The new long service in this new abnormal is about 2 to 3 years. But we can extend that 2 to 3 years by another year, and maybe by another year, if we get leaders who understand the shift about what the workforce of today is looking for, and they are therefore leading with about anything anywhere. All the things that we thought we went to school to learn, people will open their laptops and devices and they can learn the same things. So the boss is no longer always right, and we need to be humble enough to know that it's a partnership between ourselves as leaders and our associates or direct reports. When they see that, they feel a more psychological connect with the organization through the line manager. Because in actual fact, people are working for their line managers, right? But when there is that disconnection, then we tend to think, oh, I'm leading this organization, but in actual fact, they're leading the manager. So that's the second. The third is we need to live with connectedness, and she's mentioned that a lot. I mean, somebody is saying, most times we see line managers not present in the moment of the people that they lead. I'm asking for the report, I'm asking for the KPIs, I'm asking for the results, but this guy is saying I need help, but we're not present. This guy is saying I'm exasperated, I'm lost, I don't understand and all that, but we're constantly asking for our KPIs and our reports. We need to retain that connect. Trust is important for leadership. If you're leading with trust in your environment, you are likely to engage more, connect more, and therefore people are going to say, where am I going to get this kind of thing again? I'll stay. Even if the money is not what I really want, but if we lead with trust, it builds a further connect with the organization. And the last for me is leading with emotional intelligence. We've got to realize that it's not just about work for people anymore. And last thing I'll say is leaders today must realize that we move from the industrial revolution where people were working for survival to the information revolution when it was about standard of living, to now this social revolution when it's about quality of life. And that's what we are all looking for.
Fantastic, fantastic. I'll put our hands together for Mr. Fashion. And in your conversation, you said something very instructive. People are promoted to leadership positions without being made ready for the leadership responsibilities that they are going to face, right? I want to ask, and this is to you, Bukola. In your organization, one of the ways that this gap is bridged, the leadership gap is bridged, is through training and development, right? So in your organization, what are the things you've done where training and development is concerned to successfully transition people from not being promoted to leadership positions, without understanding and developing the right leadership competencies that they need?
Thank you. So I will start by just say one or two things to what Yemi said and what Shady said around talent managers and all. I think it's important for organizations to understand that there's just so much talent managers can do when they're not empowered, right? Now, if you have talent managers not reporting to the CEO, reporting to another line of leadership before the CEO, it's possible the talent manager will have innovative idea initiatives for implementation, but it's not just going to pass beyond that level of leadership. So I think empowerment is important. Empowerment, not just having the ears of the CEOs, but also growing in terms of the level of engagement with other senior leaders in the organization. That's very important. Now, coming to what you said about training and development in the organization towards leadership. I agree absolutely with Yemi that one, the first level EVP is leadership. Because if the environment is toxic, no matter how great the pay is, not even the the community of employees that we have right now, we know them to be impatient, they can't take it, and they will tell you what they can take or what they can take, and they will walk away. Some of them won't even resign, they'll just call you and say, I'm sorry, I'm not coming back. And we need them in our environment, right? Because they're the nearest future leadership, right? And they must be prepared to take on such roles and leadership. So training is one thing where oftentimes in our organization, we determine areas for training from the periodic performance checks or this appraisal cycle that we have, identifying gaps to be filled. But training are usually targeted at specific areas for improvement, right? While development is a long haul, you have an employee you've identified to be your potential successor or potential leader in the next 5-6 years, and you know that there are specific skills that must be acquired, there are specific developmental areas for that employee, then you plan the development for that employee for that period of time before he or she will assume that role. So we have identified training outfits that are credible, that we work with. And then what we also try to do is beyond, the classroom type of training, because the classroom is important because it enables your people to share raw minds, share ideas with the other members in the class. But however, I believe learning is on the go, right? It's on the go because even from the employee's standpoint, he or she will know that I also have areas of development. So what we'll also try to do is we have e-learning platforms where employees can go to and just continue to learn, identify areas. And what we also try to do with that is we have a policy that guides number of hours of training per annum. However, we believe that there will be need for other areas of development. So what we've advocated is for team members, city line managers to agree those additional areas of development. And then agree with your line manager so that your line manager can give you room and time to take those courses. So added to your open courses that you take outside the organization, if you're taking an e-learning program, right, you must be given time also to focus and take it. So that there's no distraction. Learning actually happens at the end of the day as against being distracted in taking those programs. And then we have specialized training that we believe are critical. I mean, because of the industry where I work in, there are specific skills that are required, certifications required. So those are also part of what we take to ensure that, our people are positioned to take on what they're going to do. Now, when we identify, likely successors in the organization, we identify specific talent that we believe this is an employee that we want to see in the next 5-10 years, being the team lead of each department. We have specific leadership programs that we do, leadership developmental programs around being aware of who you are, checking your own temperament, your mental of emotional intelligence, your temperament level, what kind of personality do you have? So by the time you do your personality profiling, as an individual, you also know that I personally want to improve in this area. I personally want to grow in this area. And that helps, the employee to achieve his personal goals, vis-a-vis ultimately achieving the corporate goals as well. So we do all of that for training of younger, but even the leaders themselves, we also ensure that we focus on their own development, because in doing that, then they can replicate themselves in the upcoming. I've seen instances where a team leader saw that because of the perceived way our line manager was behaving, that's the best way to behave. Meanwhile, everybody down the ladder were complaining. Oh, she just said that, I'm just trying to be like this person. That person that you're trying to be is someone that everybody is complaining about. So it's important that organizations pay attention to the, leadership type, and the tone is set from the top. That's from the number one employee, and that will ultimately cascade to the next level of leadership and just go down the ladder to every member of the team. I believe that will help if that is clear from the top, what the organization is looking to achieve in terms of retention, because that's what's going to keep people beyond the pay. And they can always get more pay anyway, if they leave you. They can always negotiate something better. What is beyond pay to retain employees is beyond even performance bonus. bonus is something you achieve because the organization has done well. But if you have performance pay, base pay, what Yemi narrated, I can relate to one HBR case study where an employee was recruited, was sourced just to come and help boost the numbers that she was talking about. And then this employee came, nothing was said to the employee about the entire organizational culture around performance, around behavior, around engagement, around interpersonal skills. So he came in and he grew the numbers and he delivered. So it was time for his promotion because that was a promise. And his appraiser showed that he couldn't go to the next level because his 360 degrees showed he didn't meet up. His colleague said he wasn't a good person, he wasn't interacting with them, he wasn't working with them. So the question was, what should he do? Should he leave the organization? Because, it wasn't his fault that he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Some said, yes, he should leave because the CEO promised him promotion and he has met what he was asked to do. So why can't he be promoted? But the organization actually has a policy guiding how these things will be done. And that's why it's so important, communication, communication, communication. It must be known to the employees what is expected. It must be known to them what is expected must be achieved. If there are going to be challenges, escalating so that actions will be taken. And so, but the guy decided to stay because it was all about the people. If his team members, how was he able to speak to customers and customers, transacted business and income came to the organization and he found it difficult to relate with his people. And was going to be promoted to a leadership role, he would need people to get his work done there. So he decided to stay. So it's important that from the top, the tone is set and it cascades. And there's clear understanding of what the organization is looking to achieve with the people. And I believe that will actually help.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, just before I ask Tracy a question, I'd like the audience, you can get ready with your questions. After my question to Tracy, the floor will be opened to receive questions from us. So I think there'll be a microphone passed around the room, and then you can ask any of the panelists your question. Now, you wrote the report, or you were part of the team that wrote the report. One of the things that came out very strongly in this report was conversations around performance management. And in a very interesting way, Nicola mentioned communication being very key. Same way you would say location when you're talking about real estates. So tell me, how, from the report and from all of your findings, how important was communication, especially during the performance management process, in aiding employee engagement and productivity?
Okay, so every employee, every team member wants to understand how they are being measured. What are the metrics you're using to measure my performance? How does my performance impact on compensation, on promotion, on performance outcomes? And from engaging people we spoke with, we engaged different levels of executives, we engaged HR executives. Someone said something in a particular sector. He said that, yes, their performance appraisal system is really clear. They knew that these people were going to get promoted in the business. Then all of a sudden they found out that they promoted someone that didn't make the list at all, and it caused bad blood in the business. So I think it's very important for the business to communicate clearly, what metrics are being used to measure performance. KPIs, we mentioned that KPIs should probably be defined from the beginning between the line manager and the employee. What are my KPIs? If, for example, I know what I'm measured on. I know that I'm supposed to write X number of thought leadership articles. I know I'm supposed to bring in this amount of money into the business. It should be clearly stated that if you meet these KPIs, these are the things that are going to happen. If you meet these KPIs, it's going to impact on your compensation. And also, what are the policies that drive your performance system in the business? What are the policies that are tied to compensation? These policies have to be clearly defined and, most importantly, clearly communicated to the people. When there is clear communication, there's no ambiguity. It promotes trust in the business, because one thing happens when there's no communication around policies that drive performance and policies that drive compensation. There's distrust in the system. People lose integrity in the business. So when these things are clearly communicated, policies are defined, employees are aware of the things that are tied to their promotion, tied to compensation, it's clearly communicated. It promotes trust in the business, and then it helps the employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just to add to that communication, I think since we are talking about transformative talent management, I think we need to encourage line managers again in the now of work to move away from transactional talent management. So tick the box, KPI at the beginning of the year, tick the box, move from media to quarterly. We have other engagement and communication. But I think the last leg of communication, again, in today's now work, is what every line manager should leave on the table. And that is, you've done very well. How can I support you to do better? We don't get enough of that along the communication process. Also for poor performance, rather than thinking of two things quickly, PIP or exit, the first thing we want to leave on the table as the last leg of that communication process is, how can I support you to get better? Once we do that, like again, that thing about, oh, next performance cycle, this is the kind of line manager I would love to work with, whether I'm doing very well or I'm not doing very well. So I think support, I came back, we mentioned it, I think it was Rob, that support is extremely important, but we don't communicate it enough during the performance management system.
Thank you so much. Can we put our hands together for Mr. Fashola and the panelists? All right, do we have questions from the audience? Okay. Is there, okay. All right, who is helping with the microphone? Is someone helping with? I can help. Okay. All right, let me help.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. An excellent conversation. Thank you so much for the insights. My name is Maiwa from PZ, and while you spoke, I just thought about the future of the next generation. You know, I happen to be a millennial, and once upon a time, that was a great thing. Now I'm old because we now have Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Gen Z is 1997. They are 27-year-olds. In the next 10 years, these people are the CEOs of our businesses. We have worked hard to build these institutions. What are we doing for their future of work? My own future of work was empathy, flexible work, hybrid work. What is their own reality? What is technology going to be? What are their challenges going to be? How are we preparing these flighty, briefcase employees for the future? And like she said, I saw a video of doctors having an operation and they were playing jams while having surgery. And I'm like, these are the people that are going to do cesarean section for my employees. You know, well, how are we preparing these people to take over the businesses? How you've been a CEO, you're going to entrust your business. 10, 20 years, you're not going to be there. What are we doing to prepare this set of talents for the future that is coming for them? And that's the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, sure.
It's interesting you ask that question because I have about 100 of them in my office now. So hopefully I should be thinking, and at 60, I better be thinking about what you're talking about. So initially, when I set up this company about 8 years ago after I finished as the CEO of Guinness Nigeria, because I was in marketing to start with before I started doing CEO role, so I sort of decided that my default was to go back to marketing. So we do, digital marketing, everything you see of Coco, PIG, we do some work for PZ and so on and so forth. And then I needed to bring in this people. The first thing I got wrong was to think that I could decide for them how to dress to work. We nearly knocked each other crazy. They nearly called me crazy. Me thinking that you got to dress nicely. And for them, it's about jeans with that turning. You guys know what it is called. That are turning the nails and all of that. So for whatever it's worth, my wife does etiquette with Janet. So I had to bring that in to talk to them about it. And she said I was dead wrong. That I couldn't be prescriptive in those areas. So for them, the first way, before you talk about making them see you, first thing is to attract and retain them. You can't have them develop to be CEOs if they're not even in the organization. So first of all, broke that barrier. I realized that they did. So you see, come to my office, you see all sorts of colors of head, or is it hair? Or hair. I hope it's hair. You understand? That's the first thing. Second thing, to exactly what everybody has said here, which came up in the thing. This one thing about flexibility around the off-site, on-site work, no-brainer. Okay? They're going to tell you that so you are getting a better possibility of keeping them. The third thing, which is coming through now, which is extremely scary, But like I said, I'm taking it from the perspective that you got to keep them first before you can even think about one of them being a CEO in the future. Is that even at the stage of interview, some of them will say to you, you know what? I have this other business that I do by the side gig. Thank you. I'm only going to join you if you understand that when I'm done at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., whatever time your work is, it's okay for me to go back to my work. Now, I grew up working for the Unilevers and the Coca-Colas. No PP. You work till 10 p.m., you go out or whatever. In fact, there was a drama that happened one day. One of them worked till about 11 p.m. We were preparing for a pitch. One of our art directors, 27, worked till 11 p.m., went home. The following day came in at 10 a.m. My 37-year-old HR manager would not, have him come in at 10 a.m. that he came in. It was a big drama. And the guy said, I'm going to walk out of here. I worked till 10 p.m. last night. Yeah, your resultant time is 9 a.m. I'm here at 10:30. You're shouting at me. So the first thing to be able to keep them is to locate yourself in them. If there's anything like that, you locate yourself in them, and as a result of that, very rarely do I lose staff. That's despite that I'm probably the only agency on the island. All the other agencies are on GRE. So for them, and 90% of them are coming from there. Like I said, they're 25, 30. I've realized even this thing I'm wearing is because I'm here. When you see me wear jeans in the office, you think I'm 30 years, I'm 60. Do you understand me? So that's the most important thing. I said it before, is about, and you talked about communication, it's about really engaging with them, making them be like citizens of the organization. If you're a citizen of a country, you don't change your citizenship, right? You don't. You are a Nigerian for life. So try to make them feel like I'm here for life. I'm not going to change. This is where I want to grow and finish. I think it's very key to that. And everything that, thank you, PCL. Thank you, Rob. Everything that you've done here today really connects with the people that I manage. It's not so much about you're adding another 10% to their salary. I don't know why. It means nothing to them. It's all this stuff that I've been talking about. And when you are doing that, they are even on their own conceding salaries increases to you because they value those things. Let me be free. Let me wear what I want to wear. Let me come at the time I want, but I will deliver your whatever to you. So it's tough. I'm 7 years in that business, but you know what? That's all that I've seen so far, and I hopefully would help me build. I will see 2-3 of them that will be able to push and take home. Let me go back to the point about development. I hope I've answered that. Because something came through that I was burning to say. Again, as a CEO, my experience, don't get me wrong, I love talent managers. Why would I not? Before I say what I want to say, I love talent managers. But as CEO, there was something that really got me always upset with you people that are called talent managers. Can I say that? Am I free to talk? Yeah, I'm in the midst of 3 of them, so I'm in trouble, but I will say it all the time. When it comes to succession planning, how sometimes, and obviously can't be all talent managers, how sometimes talent managers in big organizations mislead the organization in developing the wrong person. And then coming out later, when you go far down the line on investment and everything, to discover that actually that's the wrong person, it just kills me. And I'm going to give an example. So it makes it difficult for CEOs to support those investment decisions because talent management and development requires some level of investment, doesn't it? I had a situation where there were like 5 division sales managers. I was CEO in Guinness Ghana. We needed to train one of them. Expatriates were coming as sales director. We needed to train one of them to take over. They looked good. We asked this expatriate sales director to assess all of them and recommend the one to be developed. And he brought up this one. Okay? We took the guy through what we call spotlighting. So brought in even people that are not in sales and other people. Everybody said he was the guy. So he went, we sent him to East Africa to go work within the same Diageo Guinness group, okay, to get some experience and then come back and all that. Now, fast forward, we changed the expatriate, a new expatriate came. We brought this guy back to be his deputy to sort of shadow him and everything. And everything that the first expatriate had said about the guy was the exact opposite of what he was saying about this guy. And almost like asking, how did the system bring this guy out as the best amongst these other ones? And he will not support that guy being his successor. But guess what? The company had been out with a lot of money investing in that. So my word to you is that even the process of determining who the successor is, that whole succession planning is as critical as anything else you do. And what I hate the most again, I like talent managers. Forgive me if I didn't like talent managers, I would be here what I'm doing. Do you know what happens again that I dislike? And I told I will talk as CEO throughout, so forgive me again. Is that sometimes when they do this assessment of people, and you then rank them along the levels of readiness on the ladder. So the Guinness Coke, we used to do things like you call somebody RN, meaning ready now. So you see R2, ready in 2 years. You see R5, ready in 5 years. For the likes of me, I worked for international companies for like 30 years, 32 years. So many times I saw people that were identified by the line managers and the HR managers as R5 today. And in 5 years' time, they are still what? R5. I say, what? I've not, that much has not worked out for me. Either because at the time they identified that person as an R5, maybe it was an R10, I don't know, it's possible. But you call him R5. Or that the interventions that were required to turn him from R5 to RN or RN did not work or were not even put in that. So I'm putting this in the context of the opportunity to speak to talent managers, that those are the headaches that I see that a lot of CEOs face. Okay, I've sat on many boards at this level, and they still face that. The way to justify this to them, not that you need to justify talent, they should do that, is that every intervention that you make is as accurate and on the money as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So, okay. So I'm going to take 3 more questions. Right. So there is, right? Okay. There's someone. Who are you? Okay, I thought you were somebody wanted to ask. Okay, so you can come to Ifeok. Ifeok is another proud alumni of PCL.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to be here, and I think we need to have more conversations with CEOs because it's throwing up a lot of issues. My name is Ifeok Ezenwa, sorry. I'm with TSL Logistics, and my question is to Usheni again because when she talked about empowerment, I noticed you had a slide. It's my assumption, right? You were slightly in disagreement. I have my thoughts around empowerment because you cannot succeed as a talent manager without that empowerment. So it's a deal breaker before even accepting such a responsibility. But I want to know why you were in slight disagreement.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'm trying to really observe that. And to be honest with you, she answered it towards the end. And then I corrected my facial expression. I was saying the truth, and thank you for noticing that. Because at one point, if she hadn't brought in the point about the structure not empowering the talent manager, I would have reacted. Okay? But she then said that in the case where you have the talent manager or head of talent management reporting to another person that reports to CEO, and so I agree with her. But my experience is that even no 2 talent managers on the same role exhibit the same level of empowerment. Just like no 2 presidents will never be the same. Just like no 2 CEOs will never be the same. And I'm not talking about a CEO of Guinness compared to a CEO of Coca-Cola. If you put Guinness today and you take him out, bring in another CEO of Guinness, nothing has changed in terms of job description and everything. The level of empowerment that she called that they exercise will vary from one to the other. So if she hadn't put that caveat about, and I wouldn't think that a very mobile, really strong talent manager should take a job like that where you can't report to a CEO if you are the most senior management person. If you can avoid not to do that, don't do that because you're right. Then everything gets, tucked under. But if you are in that role, the empowerment is for you to, to manifest. You have to manifest that you're empowered. Nobody will give you that power. That's what I meant. That's why I sort of changed my face.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for changing your face.
Hello.
All right. So Rob has a question.
Hi, yeah. I just want to build on the point that was made around around empowerment, I think it's very important. And I think I'll throw it to Yemi, just to give his thoughts. So Tracy mentioned that PCL has been working remotely since COVID. And there were some people in this room who took that decision, and we were extremely deliberate about it. At the time, I think it was an untested formula, but we decided that we were going to quit. And we were going to put, as Shane said, we were going to put some structures in place. And over the last couple of years, we've had, I hope I'm allowed to say this, I mean, our CFO is in the room, I'm not sure for this, but I think over the last couple of years, we've had the highest revenue and the highest profitability in the history of the company. And we've done all of it working remotely. And I think, using the football analogy, thank God we're Real Madrid and not Man United. But the point being, I honestly believe if we were multinational that had done this, what happened is they'd be writing case studies about us at Harvard, or at least Yemi would have written a case study about us by now. But the thing is, as Joshua mentioned, it's something that we don't talk about very much. And what do? All we do is three things. We try and hire the right people, we try and set the right quality bar, and then we try to ensure that they display the right kind of commitment. And then we hands off and we let them play on the field. And what you find is very often, if you empower people to do the right thing, they provide you with extra results. Thank you very much.
Okay, I mean, if I just say that, so Rob, you've taken that empowerment conversation outside of just the Jackscope now into the entire so many. If I don't see you in the office, you're not working. Especially those who were stuck in the micromanagement mode. COVID happened, and we were forced, like we said, into remote hybrid situation. But we still had some line managers who will call, "What are you doing?" I want to put it on WhatsApp video. I want to see you working. That's because we shifted attention from performance management, managing by productivity, by objectives, by KPIs, to managing by presence. And we lose empowerment along that chain. But if we come back to it and do performance management right, set expectations, set direction, set a vision, set a goal, set the objectives, and say run with it. Like your many young people now, sir, you'll see that, like I said, people are looking for purpose. That's part of empowerment. But if you're constantly checking on me, you're constantly micromanaging me, there's something that you're taking away from me. You're taking the fire away from my belly, so to speak. So, yeah, empowerment it's everything about employee line manager relationship. Once people think that, yeah, you are losing power by giving them more power, then they stay connected with you and they will return that investment to you in terms of delivery and productivity. So follow up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One more question. There's one slot for. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosemary. I'm with the Concept Group. Okay, thank you so much for this impactful session. So I think a lot of talks happening around people not leaving bad jobs or like bad bosses. My question is, do you think that there are bad downlines, right? Are there strategies that talent managers and leaders can assess, to manage bad downlines? Toxic downlines. I mean, they are the ones that become toxic leaders. So if they are toxic leaders, they are definitely toxic downlines. So how then do talent managers and leaders effectively manage those people without losing out on their core values of leading with trust and emotional intelligence and all that? Thank you.
Wow, that's a good question. Who is the question for? You want to direct it to anyone, or should I help?
Anyone, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the question. So, I think beyond what line managers are doing, HR managers also have responsibility to know every employee in the organization. And I think starting with knowing the names of everybody in the organization. Yeah. It's possible. Starting with knowing the names of every employee in your organization. I mean, every new hire, you must know their names and know their departments. And when you have that level of relationship, When you come in with anyone, you're calling them by name. I want to, so you know me, yes. Even though you were not part of the interview, but you're able to identify every member of the team. That's one. Then talking about managing, the download, managing, toxic employees and all. I believe that this behavior will be thrown up somehow, right? You'll be thrown between team members or between team members and their line managers. And one of the ways to manage it as we get to understand it, I mentioned earlier leadership development. And the leadership development will start from the low level to meet leadership, even up to the most senior leadership cadre in the organization. You can also have mentoring, right? I mean, we've done that a few times in the organization with employees that we consider not doing very well with their KPIs. When it comes to interpersonal relationship and engagement with other teams, it's usually complaints around bullying and being bullied and all of that. So what we've done is to assign mentors to such employees beyond all the training that you can do, because training can only do so much. It's a practical application of the training, what I've been taking it from the training that will determine whether learning has actually taken place or not. So we can assign mentors, because through the mentorship program, we've actually been able to identify where the issues were coming from for those employees. Some of them wasn't even related to work, it was just something outside of work that we're bringing to the work. And we're better able to help them manage it, and there's improvement. So we've noted those to be a continuous program that we're going to have in-house to help manage such. Another thing also is the tone at the top. We've had a board of directors, because we run employee survey. And we don't just run these surveys, we actually look at the report of the survey and we communicate back to the employees. What we try to do is when we run the survey and we get the report, we look at the quick wins. What are the quick things that we needed to act upon? So we take those actions and we respond to the employee. You spoke, we listened, and these are the actions there. The things that we're doing immediately, we tell them immediate action. Those that we're going to do medium and long term, we also communicate. So they know that we're working on it. So when we get things around toxic environment, this report, we send it to the board. So when the board says it will also come from the top, that we do not condone this in this environment. So for those at the very senior leaders that are in that space, they also get the sense that if this keeps coming up about them, then the board will actually take an action. Thank you.
Steve, can I just quickly say that 3 weeks ago, somebody in the room, as soon as the question was asked, looked directly at me, because we had a fight on this issue. If you follow the things that I write a lot about on Instagram and LinkedIn, it's about leadership, culture, employee experience, and I'm always knocking leadership. Almost like I'm always excusing bad employees. So I wrote something recently, and this person sent me a message on WhatsApp. A fight. What about employees? I'm not always talking about the other side of the equation. Now, what baffles me about the fact that toxic employees thrive in organizations is that it's not reflected in their performance appraisal at the end of the year. How does that happen? So who should we still blame? Leadership. So there is no way we'll talk about that without talking about culture in the organization. It's the culture that we reward, the culture that we allow, the culture that we say it's okay, that will be the culture of the organization. So there is the above the line culture, we write it on our walls and on our website, but there is a below the line culture about what we really feel, what we really reward and condone in the organization. So what's happening to that unit head and the departmental head and the functional head condoning bad behavior? Culture spreads. So if we say that at the end of the day, the individual with bad culture, but with great performance rating is still rewarded the same way as the individual with great culture, what are we saying? It's okay. So is it reflecting in the feedback mechanism, the formal feedback mechanism, the performance appraisal? The informal is possibly when we sit in rooms and look at every individual. But when the toxic employee still gets promoted at the end of the year, what are we saying? We're saying that it's okay to be toxic and still thrive in this organization. So goes back to your point about leadership, and I think it's about culture as well. If you don't deal with that from a culture perspective, it will spread.
Fantastic. All right. Okay.
Not a misnomer, but I feel like we're too obsessed and fixated on this whole thing about young people, Japa, retention. Retention is important. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. First, as to what Yemi's viewpoints would be on this, or maybe even in chat. So, we have a lot of young people, they work in the company and they live in 2-3 years. There's a reality that we all need to face, that it's a new normal, or new abnormal that are going to live anyway. So why are we not making the most of those people? I work with a place where we train a lot of people. We spend on an average of $4,000 or $5,000 training each person on the team, and they live in 2-3 years. They live in 1 year. Where in as short a time as possible. So if I've spent $4,000 training you, I make sure that in that 1 year, I'm drilling as much revenue out of you as I can. You know, and that works for us. So when you say you're living in 2-3 years, all right, thank you very much. Please be a good ambassador of our company. In touch. That's our general attitude. It's not that they leave and we're not paid. So I feel like, are we spending too much energy in feeling like, oh, you know, why are people leaving? Why are people, you know, that's my first comment. Sorry, I'm taking a bit more time. The next one is I feel like a gathering like this is an opportunity for us to reach out to HR managers, talent managers, and help them and empower them to do what Shane wants them to do, as in, you know, facing up to the CEOs. We talk about empowering of talent managers. The truth of the matter is, on a scale of, on the rung of the ladder, HR people, it's very rare that you find a talent manager or HR person at the real top of leadership. But what we need to be doing is exposing the CEOs to that reality and the importance of people. So we don't just say that when people come, but we're actually showing them the numbers. And the sad thing is, some HR people outside of the PCO guys, they don't want to do the numbers. We're scared of numbers. We're scared of being at the top there. The CEO can't even face up to him. I've advised HR people in the past to say, look, if your CEO is telling you to do something that you know is wrong, then face up to him and tell him I'm leaving the job. And then he'll, even if he makes you leave, even if you have to leave in the end, he then sees that reality that this madam, a lot of madams in the chat, this madam is actually, you know, telling me telling me the truth. I don't know if you get my point. Thank you very much.
All right.
So you want my thought? As soon as you got the mind, okay, I knew you were coming from it. I think it was 2 years ago or last year, I can't remember now, I wrote on backward integration on LinkedIn. And I said that we should move our focus totally away for the guys who have left. They've gone. We've got a captive audience still in the organization. So what we've been saying all morning is to say that let's focus more on the guys who have not Japan. And then focus on one thing, and that's employee experience. So people have asked me, how long should we now say, how well are we going to rate our 2 years or 3 years and all that? And my response is this. Now, people will stay a day, 1 year, 1 month, 10 years, whatever it is. The most important thing is the employee experience they get from that short or long period that they stay with us. So if we are constantly focusing on our daily transactions and daily interactions leading to great employee experience for our people, and that's on the talent manager's responsibility alone. Talent managers working in tandem with line managers. If we focus on that employee experience, then what we are doing is to extend that life cycle with the organization. And you're right, they may still leave after your $4,500 per annum that you're spending on them. But with a great experience, 2 things, they will either come back later, or they remain ambassadors of the organization. So totally aligned with your thoughts. Totally.
Thank you very much. Okay, you want to
What we said,
Okay.
you know, from the survey run by PCL and the report that we saw, we already saw that there's a decline in the rate, in the percentage of those going out. So definitely people are coming back, right? And your investment, your people going out is what is going to attract them, you know, to come back, to be the first point of call whenever they decide to come back. There's nothing we can do about it. We won't say because they're going to leave, we won't invest in them, because ultimately it's going to impact our business. So we must be in business must grow. So investment is a continuous for every talent that we have in our organization. And secondly, to what's about talent management, I think talent managers need to earn their pay. And gone are the days when talent managers just say yes to everything being said. Whatever it is we're taking to the table must also be data driven, right? To justify whatever initiative, recommendation you're bringing. And you must be known to know what you're doing in aligning and supporting line managers with regards to what must be done for the people within the team. That is when you can actually have a voice at the table. And that is why when the CEO will always take time to listen to what you have to say. And whenever it is strategy is being discussed, talent will take a critical part of the conversation, because it is known in the organization that without the talent, there's actually nowhere the nation is going. Thank you.
To just throw more weight to what everyone has said, in conducting the survey across all the sectors, what tops the most for non-financial rewards for employees is career development. You know, so everyone wants to be in a place that is invested in their training and development. They want to work in a business that wants to see them grow. They have a career path. You know, I even spoke with someone that declined an offer, you know, because there was no pathway for her in that business. And she moved to a place where they were offering her below what she was earning, but she could see a development path for her there. So right now, people are looking for a place where they can grow. What's my growth path in this place? Where would I be in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Fine, if the person leaves, you know that you invested well in the person while working in your business. So this is just to throw more weight to what everyone has said. Invest in the training and development of your people, and you'll get the best of them. Thank you.
What it means is that we are all fishing from the same global talent pool. So be careful that you are contributing quality to that pool, because garbage in.
Can we put our hands together for our panelists? I mean, very rich conversations. I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for not only being here, but for adding a lot of value to the conversation. I would like you to do one, but please, just 1 minute. Tell us, I mean, just concluding thoughts. 1 minute, very quickly. 1 minute. I'll start with you.
All right, I just want to say to every organization present here today that transformative talent management is not about the old, right? We must move from the old ways of doing things, because it won't give us the same results that we're aspiring to have. We should look at how the experience of our people from when they join till when we're able to retain them, you know, will be better than when the approach to talent management is so critical, and we will ensure that in doing our work, we make available the tool required to make work experience enjoyable, you know, interesting for them per time, per season that they spend time with us. That will definitely not make them leave us, because they know that they have the necessary tools to get work done, and the organization is interested in how they.
Thank you.
Yeah, you shouldn't be surprised what I would say. So you should know that talent management is not talent management for the sake of talent management. Talent management is ultimately in service of delivering superior shareholder value for the company. And I use the word superior very consciously, because superior means, and in fact, the topic, if I haven't done it justice to it, is because we haven't emphasized the point about competitive advantage. So that's the point about the superior I bring into it. So, and the more as a talent manager, you locate yourself in that space to know that that's why you are doing talent management, then the easier it is for you to get what you need, have the visibility you need in the organization, and the trust and backing of everyone from the CEO. Like why? Because everybody wants to be successful. So if a line management, in fact, a lot has changed. Thankfully, when we started, when I joined John Holt, they would call the person who was running the talent personnel and admin manager. All she needed to do was buy coffee and a nice bonnet and all that. Her job was done. And then from there, you moved to HR. When I was at, I think it was co-workers, moved to business partner. And so you had a business partner, talent business partner for supply chain or whatever. Now you're talking talent management, fantastic. But I will go back to where I started because I wouldn't do my conscience any justice if I don't let you know that talent managers, you will be how successful and how empowered you want to be in the organization. Just on account of you being able to connect what you do to the fact that the business has to grow shareholder value. Thank you very much.
I think what I'll say is something that I don't think we mentioned is recognition and appreciation of our team members. It's something that we should imbibe. We don't have to break a bank. Every human has this innate desire to be recognized and to be appreciated, and it's something that we can employ in organizations. A pat on the back, commendation letters, take your team members out. You don't have to spend so much. Let them feel recognized. Let them be appreciated for their contributions, for their achievements. It's something that can be adopted and embraced in talent management. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final words from me would be to say that transformative talent management in the new abnormal is a combination of two words, adaptability and agility. And if you bring the two together, you get a new abnormal word, adaptability.
Adaptability. Can we put hands together for our panelists? Thank you so much. I thought we would do better than that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Rich conversations. Now, we're going to take a short break. I think there are some finger foods, some things outside that we can sort of grab. And okay, want to take pictures. Okay, so can the panelists like to take a picture? Right. Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. No problems. So. Yes.
Sorry. In the room, so. Okay. Just wanted to see that if we share the screen, that everything is working fine. Just so that we should, that's okay.
Picture with the moderator, please. Ready? Yes. You good? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so before we go, Before we go on our coffee break, right? We have a short presentation from Thomas International. Now, the insights that we've gotten from the report and the conversations we've had have thrown up a number of things that we can do as an organization or as businesses. Now, there is one more thing that you can do, which Thomas International will be showing us in their presentation. Are we ready with the Thomas presentation?
Yes, can you hear us on the side? Is everything? Yeah.
So are we ready with it? Is it coming up?
Can you
It's
hear?
1 minute. All right.
Can you see?
1 minute. You know, when you're the controller of an event, that 1 minute can become 1 hour. So while they get the presentation ready, just like to, say very emphatically that the report that we're presenting today, of course, is this 2.0, so it's the second one. The one for last year was very important and was something that I used a lot in channeling and having very strategic conversations at different levels with my stakeholders. So after the session, please go to the PCL website and download the report. I'm sure that you will be tremendously helped to do certain things that you need to do in the talent management space. So are you ready now? You're ready. So over to Thomas International. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Thank you, Ron. Can you just confirm, can you hear us clearly and is the screen sharing on your side? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, okay,
Yes, we can hear you, and the screen is shared on our side. Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for confirming. And thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this amazing event. I must say, my colleague and I are listening here to discussions taking place. It sounds very insightful and engaging. And I definitely think that more of these types of events need to take place, have that space for information to be shared. And I'm very privileged to myself, definitely privileged to be part of this. Now, we are Thomas International, representing Thomas International here. Hopefully you've heard about Thomas. Our logo made it a little bit different as we did go through rebranding earlier this year. But just a bit of a background, we have just over 40 years experience in providing people solutions through the use of science-backed research in the form of psychometric assessments. And this is aimed to foster a more engaged, more motivated, connected, and inclusive workforce. And that definitely aligns with a lot of the discussions that took place in the room regarding the challenges that the execs and HR are experiencing. And so that is what we do, aligning to assist in addressing some of those some fun facts about Thomas International. We have more than 11,000 active clients currently worldwide. Over 23 million assessments have been completed. And then also, probably the funnest fact here for me is that every 36 seconds of every day, there's a Thomas assessment being completed somewhere in the world, either for recruitment, for development, or for just getting to know themselves. So I am Monique Christo, the Global Manager of Professional Services at Thomas International. So, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with our assessments, but the PPA profile, that is our behavior assessment, and my profile is steadiness and compliance, indicating that I'm quite to the point and very focused on rules and regulations, and also working a little bit at a slower pace. And then I'm just going to hand over to my colleague Kim to introduce herself as well.
Good day, everyone. So my name is Kimberly Krupis. I've been with Thomas for about 8.5 years, and I'm the Global Training Manager. As Moni referred to, the PPA is one of our most popular assessments. My profile is compliance dominance, and what this means is I essentially say it's by the book, and I try and enforce that as follows. possible. That's my profile. It's lovely to be here with you all today. I'm going to hand over back to Moni. He's going to lead our presentation. So over to you, Moni.
Sure. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, so quite a nice combination and difference in us with Kim always keeping me on track. Thankful for that. So before we start, I know Tracy, you're also in the room, and so we just followed the first couple of slides just to get engagement and to afterwards just also give a prize to the delegate that provides great answers. So we're going to have a short quiz. There are 4 questions. Tracy, if you can just on your side, try to facilitate and just see who answers first, and then afterwards just give us that individual's name through. So a lot of this aligns with challenges that are experienced within the working environment, and that HR managers and talent managers need to be aware of, as you need to provide answers to the rest of the business, how you can address these challenges. And that's a lot less psychometric comment, but taking quite a turn here. So true or false? The first question is, bad hires seem to improve over time and they conquer their roles. So in your experience and what you've found in your environments, do you tend to find that to be true or false? That a bad hire over time, they do conquer their roles and become productive in their position.
What do we think? True or false? Anybody in the room want to take a guess? We're struggling to hear. We're struggling to hear. Are there some responses?
Okay. I think we can then go on to the next one that we found, but we'll give you the answers anyway. So that is in fact false. Research that have been done found that a quarter of these bad hires have either left the building or aren't working out, or a third, which is 32%, are struggling with some elements of the role. And that definitely impacts their productivity within that specific role in their company. So again, getting the right person into the door just shows the impact of that. Okay. Then next, more than half of new hires do not work out. Would you say that would be true or false? Now, because we're experiencing some difficulty, I'm just going to go through it, but still hopefully you'll see I'll find this interesting. Okay, so due to poor fit between candidates and the role, 46 of those candidates experienced that from new hires. Poor fit between candidate and the culture, which is also very important. 44% of respondents indicated that that's a challenge for them. And then poor fit between the candidate as well as the manager, which again, also quite a % of new hires did not work out. Nextly, again, true or false, the cost of a bad hire is equal to the offer we make to a new incumbent. Being professionals, I can assume you really know that answer that to be false, as PwC have estimated that replacing a hire costs anything from 50 to 150% of that employee's annual salary, and that includes time to hire, management going out, some sitting interviews, that stops. The position is vacant for a while. Other individuals might need to take leave because of working overtime. So definitely it has a big effect over than just that individual salary. And then the last question is, CV gives you enough information to distinguish between candidates. And yes, CVs is a very useful tool. We all need CVs and we put our best foot in there. But that's just it. That is a very curated version of yourself it is customized to the position, but we found that just 21% of hiring managers thinks that so that if you more information and just should emphasize the importance of having multiple sources of information. Yes, the CV is great, but you can have to have interviews. You might need to do background checks, but also psychometrics. Very useful tool to understand the candidates you're weighing up against each other to consider, because that individual's going to come into your organization. You want them to be productive, you want them to be a fit, and as managers, you also need to support those candidates. But you don't want to know how to support them to help them become productive and also to flourish within that environment, because we want them also to be happy, because it is a fit. As much as they are you're interviewing them, they're also interviewing delegates that did provide us. The idea is to build a quick full session is going to take too much time, but for them, you're choosing by your feedback on. I was kind of thinking about offering you your experience regarding psychometrics in general, and I used it before, and just listening to the discussion, I kind of thought you do, because there had a lot of discussion going around psychometrics. I heard about a recommendation that was made for promotion and succession that there was a lot of questions about. So it's like psychometrics can be used. Turn out like that, but still a very useful tool to or method to use. So the questions that psychometrics assessments can answer for managers, for hiring managers, and even CEOs is how do I find, develop, and promote the best employees? How can I manage my team better? What is my team's preferred approach to change? And you spoke about the not the new normal, but the kind of past that, and I'll agree with that. But definitely take your team with you on this journey, and how do you support them during this? And understanding their approaches to change gives you those tools and that power to be able to do that effectively. How do I know whether the candidate is a team or a business culture fit? Again, very important question. Go through that process of hiring the individual, and then after a couple of months they go. You want them to stay at least for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, to get that productivity and to have them experience what you have to offer within the business as well. Why is my team struggling to connect? Then those psychometrics can give you those insights, how to manage that, how to navigate that gap, getting them to connect with each other, but also to the business, especially with some of the points that came up, hybrid working. People are asking for that. So, and I've also in my personal experience had people showing positions away, not offering hybrid working environments. So it's definitely something that people are looking towards, having that as part of their work-life balance and package. That can also be seen from psychometrics. Why is some team not performing? How can you support them? Might be disengaged. And how do you use turnover of employees and motivates them? One of the incentives, different people are motivated by different things, and more motivated team member, like another team member. So depending on what motivates them, definitely can help you develop incentive programs aimed specifically at them. And yes, you can ask these questions to the team members, but we do find that people do not always want to share their why they're motivated, why they disengaged. So all that might always want to be honest with their line managers, always agile, but definitely using psychometrics can give you that insight. And also, it gives you something to start a conversation with these individuals. Okay. So where does psychometrics belong? Now again, quite a seasoned HR group is talking to a lot of directors, so I'm sure you've had a lot of experience in it. But just from generally speaking, recruitment, definitely the recruitment process, what are we looking for, what is the requirement, the job specs of this position, and which characteristics, traits, or factors can we get from communication whether this individual will be able to fit into the culture, fit into the role, be effective in this role, and deliver what we require, and how quickly will they be able to onboard. Nextly, onboarding. So you've gone through the process, identified your candidate, made the offer, made the offer. So how quickly will they pick up the new skills, and how can you support them to become specialists, being promoted into management positions? But will they really get responsibilities? How do they actually change at work? Because that's also quite a big place as a manager, to kind of be that buffer and assist their team members during the times of change. And also, how will they handle internal personal conflict? Not all people are very good at handling between other individuals. They've been talking about themselves, but if there's two team members not getting along, how comfortable will they be? And that shouldn't necessarily be a hurdle for a person to come in, but coming into the position, I think that will definitely assist, and other managers or their environment can assist them when it's required to have such difficult conversations. The next is development. Does this person have management potential? Are they goal-oriented? And how will that approach risks within the work environment? Definitely identifying positions, creating talent pipelines. You also spoke about people are not there yet, they're ready in 5 years, and they up to 5 years, they're still ready after 5 years. And that's definitely something all businesses need to look at, because what type of message are sending to those individuals? On 5 years later, I'm still there. But at the other end as well, the responsibility lies with the business, but also with the individual. They need to show that ambition. And a lot of times, I also find that some people are fine within their positions, and you need those people as well. But those with ambition, identify them, have those development discussions, develop those IDPs, so that they can see there is a progression and career in the business for them, based on the different development rates, how can we support them. And lastly, again, that supporting factor, where we're going towards this individual. What motivates this person, look at the right decisions, and some people talk, others like to write, others just like to listen. So if you find that and understand these individuals that we are working with. Okay. So just what truly predicts performance within working environments? Now, quite interestingly enough, this way back when, before science was what it is today, they looked at handwriting of the candidates and they assumed that predicts success. And since a lot of research has been done since, that has been found to be absolutely not true. And stick that up. It's still quite interesting, just as but for success within this environment, knowing their profile can assist you in having structured interviews, so those probing questions, those competency-based interview questions that they might need to be able to develop on. And so it can give you a lot of insight on that. And then lastly, again, general intelligence, the best predictor of success in the working environment. Okay. Now I'm going to go over into our tools and our offerings that we have from Thomas. Quite useful. So just to quote potential of all the candidates, and also from an internal staff, for development, not necessarily science to definitely assist and use it as a superpower from HR and from management perspective, knowing how to understand, how to manage, how to develop these individuals. Definitely helps to do the job. And also looking at the recruitment process, how can support them. So the first assessment that we're going to talk about briefly is our behavior assessment. Now the PPA, this enables businesses to profile someone's preferred working behavior and to provide an accurate insight into how they behave at work. So it's based on the DISC theory, which looks at dominance, influence, steadiness, as well as compliance. This is quite a very useful tool, as it only takes to be complete. It doesn't take any exposure to insight and information. Just the behavior environments, this still a little bit so won't be able to step so how to support that individual. Kim, can you hear me? Kim, sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, sorry, my apologies. Thank you for that. Okay, going over to the next one. So at looking at this individual. So Thomas, we have aptitude, which is a GRE assessment. This assessment looks at the adapt of this individual and their learning ability. So how fast they will be able to walk into position and when there's knowledge and it.
Okay.
Good morning, Thomas. This is Wale. Hello, can you hear me? I think we may have to terminate this presentation at the moment. We are in bed with what they are presenting. We just wanted a connection between what we had in the morning and this powerful set of tools as they can help us to manage time.
I think we
Sorry, we want to terminate the presentation because the audio and the video will schedule another time. So do this. Is that okay?
Did anything that happened with the presentation?
So what I'm saying is that this one, can we just pause the presentation for now, for today, and maybe schedule another time that we can do virtually with our esteemed guests in the various organizations? Because the audio and the video, the video is really not sweet, as it were. Is that okay? Yeah, so, yeah, so please.
Okay, thank you very much. So the presentation was about from Thomas International about Thomas Tools. Thomas Tools are assessment tools. I've used them. They're very powerful tools to practically dimension the behaviors of employees in a workplace, and also the tools act in such a way that they would also propose solutions in how you manage, individuals within the workplace. All right? Very interesting event. We've come practically to the end of the event. I believe very strongly that we have not only learned, but you are going or living here with new ideas, new skills, new possibly competencies, right? Around how to manage. I would like you to visit the report that has been presented here today. It's a very rich report, reference points to some of the initiatives that you would be implementing in the organizations, and you can also share the report with other people. You can also tell them to just go to the website and download it. If that is the partner of the People Transformation Unit of PCL, who will be giving us the closing remarks, I would like to say a very big thank you to every single one of you for coming for this event. I'm sure that you've had a rewarding time. Also, I want to say thank you to Rob, MD of PCL, all partners in PCL, and the leadership team really, and every single one for having me moderate this event. PCL is always home, and I'm very certain that the things that you are going to be living here with are things that you will implement, which is the most important thing. All right. So after the closing itself, I was about to say dinner. So lunch itself, and then you can eat lunch, and more importantly, you can network with each other, get to know the people that are sitting around you, and people that also came for this event. You never know. You can have extra ideas to share, and you can live here with very strong connections that will be extremely beneficial to you, not only for the now, but also in the future. So thank you so much, and can we all put our hands together as we go on
May my USPs play, and my people use it because productive. So I communicated. Then said, "Oh, quality of life. They know me for that. I like things." But two things I'm going on with today is that as talent leaders, not talent managers, we need to have ownership mentality. They said it. And I got something from Mr. Adetu, and I think we're going to research that. Organizational citizenship. That is really powerful. So, and I think that will be the next dimension of what we're going to explore. So, on behalf of our MD, Rob Taiwo, our chairman, and all the PCL team, I want to say a big thank you to our moderator, Josh. Josh is my guy. And I want to say a big thank you for our panelists. Let me say Mrs. Olane Bekolawa. She's my friend. I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Yemi Fashion for your massive and mighty contributions. Thank you. Thank you to Mr. Adetu, who has brought executive leadership and insight into all the discussions, focusing on the competitive. I want to say thank you very much to my gazelle. That's Tracy, and of course, she's demonstrated that everyone that is here, all the talent here, if you're our challenger and our encourager, thank you for offering the advice over that. Please make sure you leave your email address, the one that was aborted. I'm going to make sure that the presentation happens somewhere, maybe through a webinar or something like that. We'll make it happen because it's a powerful tool that will connect you to all the conversations that we have in the morning in a digital manner. So, on behalf of PTT, and I want to say a big thank you to you, and let's get leading. Thank you very much. I didn't say something. I have to say another one. The media, thank you exceptionally. Thank you very much. And I cannot but recognize our commercial team who put all this together. They are doing all this, but they are good guys. Lord bless you. Thank you so much. So please, bon appetit. Yeah. Breakfast and not served together.
Mama. I need to do this myself
So management to professional success in this.
More compared to where TCL has been in charge of innovation and transformation.
Expert trainers guide individuals and businesses through a transformation process, equipping them with the right skills and mindset to navigate the
With the guidance of PCL, we learn to embrace challenges and opportunities for growth and deliver your business potential. PCL shows you how to navigate the